What's going on, everybody? My name is Jeremy Miller, and this is Flicks and Six. And on today's show, I'm going to review Silicon Valley Comic Con 2019. All right, everybody, this is it. This is my review of Silicon Valley Comic Con 2019. A lot of pros, a lot of cons. We're going to start with the first impressions, okay? So I've gone to this Comic Con every year since its inception, and I've got to say the first thing I noticed is that every year it seems to be getting worse, which is really kind of a bummer to say, but the first year I remember showing up on Friday afternoon and it was lit. It was madness. There were so many people. Everybody was in costume. The Woz was there. They did the ribbon cutting ceremony. It was really, really special. They kicked it off with super high energy, great panels from day one. And Friday was... when the exhibit hall was open, there were autographs happening. They had a special section for Stan Lee, and it was just like really magical. And this year, my first impression was that nobody was there. We looked at the schedule for Friday, and early on we were like, what's the point of even having Friday? There's like one panel, and a couple little like breakout sessions, but nothing major. And so we rolled in there about 3:00 in the afternoon, expecting this huge party, and it was dead. It was empty. And I got to assume that was because all they had going on Friday for the entire day was just autographs, which I thought was really stupid because I guess I get it. People want to go Friday, get the autographs out of the way so they can enjoy the panels on Saturday and Sunday. But I also thought if we're going to add Friday as a full day, we should pack it full of awesome stuff, which we didn't. The other thing I noticed is there was no kickoff ceremony. There was no ribbon cutting. There was no Steve Woz there. I know he was cruising around. Everybody saw him and everything, but the first year they made it such a big deal to kick off the event, and every year after that there was like the big kickoff, and I just felt like Friday as a whole was kind of a total wash. The other thing I noticed right away, which a lot of people at the con, a lot of my friends on social media have been giving me shit for, is there was no carpet in the exhibit hall. I guess the reason that bugged me is because obviously you're walking around all day long, and when you're walking on the bare concrete, it does hurt your feet. But beyond that, it was just kind of a bigger indication of the con overall because, in my work, I do a lot of event planning. We throw an annual conference. And so I know that if they're cutting out things, it's because it's not in the budget or because they don't feel it's necessary. But why would a convention in its, fifth year be kind of slowing down or pulling back? To me, it just seemed kind of weird. Like, wait, do they not have the money for the carpet on the floor? Because that's not a good sign. Excuse me. The other thing I noticed was the exhibit hall itself was empty. There were way less vendors, and I have to think it's because people were pulling out at the low attendance. I was really bummed out that there were only maybe 4 or 5 comic vendors at a Comic Con, which I thought was super bizarre. The vendors that were there were awesome. We were trading cards. I picked up some really great comics, some cool issues that I'm really excited about. But again, I felt like the lack of vendors, the carpet, it felt really open. Like at Autograph Alley, it was like this huge space and nobody was there. So it was just kind of like, man, not a good first impression. I really wished, they had done more to kick it off instead of just kind of letting it happen, because that was kind of a drag. The other thing was, the panels themselves I thought were super lacking this year. There were some okay panels, but every panel I was kind of like, okay, so you guys got like, this is kind of like all you got, huh? Like, we couldn't have drawn like bigger names, and that's not to disparage the people that were there because I did enjoy a lot of the panels, but even all the breakout sessions. I remember either last year or the year before, there was a really cool panel, and it was on the psychology of Star Wars and things like that. And Dr. Janina Scarlett was there. She does superhero therapy. She's amazing. And I remember this breakout session was absolutely full. It was packed. It was standing room only. And it was this awesome breakout sesh where we got to like dissect the psychology of Star Wars. And that's a cool panel. and there was nothing like that this year. The 501st Legion, they had a cool panel last year on cosplay and stuff like that. They didn't do it this year. I was super bummed about that. And generally, I went to one of the breakout sessions. My buddy Max, who was on our last video, he went to a couple more than I did because I was getting pictures and stuff. But the panel we went to was on like geek, what was it called? It was geek journalism. And the guy that ran the panel was doing his best. He was trying really hard, but it was super low attendance, low engagement, generally just kind of a bad energy, man. And so that was a lot of my takeaway overall of the con. The first spotlight on Morena Baccarin and Ben McKenzie. Oh, man, that was rough, you guys. I don't know who else was there. Drop a comment if you were. Excuse me. But it was rough because, these two celebs walk out on the stage and the room is maybe 25% full. So it was a weak applause. The energy in the audience was super low. And I think, it kind of threw them off their game because their tone and their energy throughout that whole panel was so awkward and brutal, uncomfortable. I mean, it was just rough, you guys. And so I don't know if it was because of the low attendance, the low energy. I also thought the moderating in the panels was a little weak. It was kind of awkward and the moderators do their best, but I think they were trying to be a little too funny or something. I don't know. It just, and every panel, it had the same questions except for the Terminator reunion, which we'll get to. But, she asked the same questions at every panel. And I thought that was in poor taste because though they're decent questions, I felt like we could dive more into their catalog of work, their filmography, experience on the set. And I felt like, I don't know, the panels generally were super lacking for me. A couple pros, I did think the voodoo stuff was cool. I'm a big voodoo guy. I use voodoo. Me and my buddy Max, we both completed the challenge and got our $50 gift cards. And he gave me his, which is awesome. So I got $100 on voodoo, which is pretty cool. So that was a lot of fun. I thought Adam Savage, his panel was incredible. I think he stole the show, even more so than the T2 reunion. Because he's so engaging, he's so fun, talking about his cosplay and everything. I mean, we were fired up, and I loved his message at the end about community and being at cons and stuff. I mean, it was awesome. So that was definitely a win. Seeing Gary Whitta there again was awesome. But again, like the star power is so lacking at this con, and it's just gotten worse every year, and I don't get that. I don't understand why they can't pull, more big names or why people are pulling out. And, Jason Momoa was there, but only for autographs and pictures. I thought it would have been awesome if he had done a panel, and I don't know the complexity of getting celebs to do panels. But I also know if you're the Waz and you're throwing Silicon Valley Comic-Con, maybe we should get some A-list actors to do some panels. I don't get it. So those were some pros. A couple other things I had notes on, the whole like beer garden or the outside garden. I mean, it must have been. At first I thought it was a joke, honestly, because we're doing the little voodoo checklist, and Max is like, "Oh, we got to go take a selfie at the beer garden, right?" So we're trying to find this place. We end up going through the back of the con, and it's like an area that you shouldn't usually be in. And I thought that's kind of poor event planning if they're like trying to direct traffic through a place that ordinarily you aren't supposed to go, because it's not very inviting. And so we go outside and there's like, it's pretty much like tables in the street in a parking lot, and it's fenced off. It looked super ghetto, and it was like, what? Like you hear the words beer garden or outdoor garden and you think maybe there's some plants. There's no fucking plants. There's nothing out there. There's a concrete parking lot with fences around in between the convention center and the registration tent. And I don't even know. Maybe that's not actually the beer garden. That's where they told us to go. That's where we took the selfie for Voodoo, and they stamped it. So it must be where it was supposed to happen. But I felt like it was just brutal. And they had some vendors out there, but my God, I couldn't believe it. And there's nobody out there. The other thing is the lack of food vendors in the actual convention, I think has been a problem every single year. I don't know if it's like a licensing thing or like a health code thing or what it is, but you guys get some better food in the place. I mean, get some little vendors to come and sell their stuff. There was like a donut thing, and then like the other place that had like nachos and shit, but like I don't know. It just seemed like, let's get a popcorn machine in there. Let's get some Totino's pizzas or like, I don't know, something. But it's like kind of a pain in the ass. You're cruising the con all day and your options are nachos or donuts. And it's like, man, I love nachos. I love donuts, but also I need some protein. I need some sustenance to get me through the panels, you know? So I thought that was a major drag, the lack of food options. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was a big bummer. I thought the Julie Benz panel was awesome. I love Julie Benz. I actually got a picture with her. Check that out. I don't know if you can see that. That's me and her. Look at that. All right, yeah. Pretty fun picture. I'm wearing my Flicks and Six shirt. You know I'm representing, so that was cool. She's super sweet. I thought her panel was fun. It was uplifting. But Adam Savage, his panel stole the show. And I think like the T2 panel was, first of all, a Terminator 2 reunion when you've got the majority of the cast over here in this room doing the panel, and you got Arnold Schwarzenegger over here doing autographs, and they're not in the same room. I mean, what the hell? Like, how does Arnold Schwarzenegger, how do you have him in the building but not sitting on stage with the cast? I mean, I know the guy's busy. I know he's, he shot that video. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but SVCC posted on their Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, you should be thanking me," and like all that. And I'm like, "Damn, dude, the guy's kind of a dick." But whatever. Like, let's get him on the panel. Like, what does it take to get him on the panel? I also felt really bad because that panel was the only one that was full all weekend. Adam Savage got pretty close, but it was full, and I felt like it was borderline useless. I mean, Eddie Furlong was there, kind of, depending on how you define there, actually present. I know the guy's fried from doing drugs for a long time and all that shit, but it was a fun panel, and I did like that moderator. But again, without Arnold in the room, it felt a little weird. And the guy with the mullet, I can never remember his name, Danny something. I felt bad for him because he wasn't getting any questions because he's like in the movie for 7 minutes, maybe. And so I thought, maybe we get some producers in the house. Maybe we get some of the writers. We talk about, the experience of writing T2. Get Jim in the house. I know that's probably impossible. That might be a little bit of a pipe dream, but if we got some other producers in the house to talk about how the movie came to be and the culture and the history and the shift we saw in the film industry because of it, like that's the shit we want to talk about. But that being said, I did enjoy the panel. I just felt like everybody was kind of like, okay, so Arnold's like in the building, but he's not in the room. That's a little fucking whack, right? But overall, I was very disappointed in the con this year. I'm like super bummed out. I'm trying to kind of let it roll off and get excited for next year. It's in October. But it really just felt like it's just on a downhill trend right now. And Autograph Alley, I didn't want anybody's autograph, man. I mean, there were limited people there. The Power Rangers panel, it's like, I was a Power Rangers kid growing up, loved Power Rangers. Who doesn't, But again, like you get Zordon in the house, but not like Kimberly and all the Power. I don't know. It just felt like really piecemealed together. They didn't have consistency. There were a major lack of A-list actors, and generally just kind of felt like an afterthought this year. The other thing I got beef with is, we've always done VIP Platinum, and last year realized that is completely pointless. You pay twice as much money for literally no perks aside from the Steve Wozniak reception thing, which we went to twice, and it was like, okay, you get your picture with the Woz and you eat some fancy food, but that's pretty much it, and that's like an extra $250 or whatever. Like, dude, fuck that. And in previous years when we're platinum, there are VIP golds in front of us in line, and we're like, hey, we're platinum, and all the volunteers are like, oh, it doesn't matter, you're all VIP. And it's like, then why'd I spend the extra money, right? So this year we went with VIP gold. and we go to the VIP lounge to check in, and they're not giving away shirts. It's like just like felt like, oh, this is the VIP lounge. Wow, like it's a big open room, and you don't even get a fucking free T-shirt. So I thought, it's like, aside from jumping the line, what's the point of being VIP? Which, it's like, of course I'm going to do VIP every year, but man, it just, I didn't feel like a VIP. And I know that's pretentious, but if you spend the extra coin, I think they should throw in some perks, So next year we're going to do VIP Gold again. We're going to hold out that they get some more A-list actors. I would have loved more comics. All the breakout sessions were, I know that there's a conflict because they're trying to do Silicon Valley and comics. And I think that is the big problem, is that they haven't identified the brand. Is it Comic-Con or is it like a tech con, like tech and innovation? I think combining the two is becoming very problematic, because the breakout sessions about Mars, though cool, that only attracts a small demographic of people there for comic shit and movie stuff. And, so I would have liked to see more panels like the psychology of Star Wars, more panels on, Game of Thrones, or, that nerdy, geeky shit that gets us all to the con in the first place. Let's do panels on it, man, I don't want to hear about like flying people and self-driving cars. Okay, I could just watch a Tesla commercial for that shit. I could watch Elon Musk on Joe Rogan if I want that. I'm not paying for a badge to hear people I've never heard of talk about that stuff. And I'm not saying that's not cool. I'm just saying we're at Comic-Con, man. Make it feel like Comic-Con. So I guess at the end of the day, I definitely don't expect Silicon Valley Comic-Con to feel like Hall H in San Diego or anything like that. But compared to previous years, this year, it kind of blew. And we were talking to a lot of people at the con. People were asking us about Flicks and Six and stuff. And, we're talking about the con. And that was unfortunately kind of the general tone I got from pretty much everybody we talked to, was like, look around like, dude, what happened this year? Like, what's going on, And that's a mega huge bummer. So I'm still excited for next year. I'll be there in October. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be coming at you guys with movie reviews, comics reviews, all that good stuff. You can also find us on a podcast. Go to any of your podcast platforms, type in Flicks and Six, and you'll find us there. But again, let me know what you thought in the comments. I'm dying to know what my fellow Comic-Con nerds thought about it. But personally, I was disappointed. Anyways, you guys have a great week, and I'll see you on the next video.